Okay, today we're going to work on a piece of spalted maple, rock maple. This is a piece from Edmund Tucker. It's a sentimental piece. He wants me to go ahead and turn it. So we've got some pretty spalting in there. We've got a few cuts here that we got to deal with. There's some minor cracks that are running along the piece, but all in all I think it's structurally okay and we can get something pretty out of this. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in between centers now. I already tried truing up the outside a little bit, and I decided I'll video it. So what we're gonna do is just turn the outside to a shape that we can get rid of most of these cracks. Let's get a overhead shot there. Just taking a cut on the outside, get rid of some of them cracks. We're running fairly slow here. We're about 680 RPM. Okay, we've still got a little bit there, a little bit there. It's almost there. Now it's gonna be pretty. All that spalting in there. Just take a little bit more. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit more. Let's move our tool rest closer. Okay, a little cut there, a little bit more there. I'm gonna go and start shaping the bottom a little bit, see what we can get. It's a little small for a holoform on the height. This would definitely be like a bowl blank, but I'm not gonna do a bowl blank. I want to do something pretty special with this piece. I'm going to try to do a holoform. Try to take as little as I can, clean up that bottom so we don't lose a lot of the width there. Stop and take a look at that, see what we're working with. Oh yeah, very pretty. Let's go ahead and let's see, we should probably turn it around. Straighten up this bottom side. See what we're working with. I'm just using a spindle lock there to hold the blank so I can get the teeth to dig in on the drive. Let's go ahead and do the front side here. I want to see how deep them cracks are, how bad they are. So yeah, I might want to do these cracks towards the bottom maybe, so on the bottom of the blank, so that way them cracks come up the bottom versus on the opening of the rim. We don't want them on the opening. So let's go ahead and do some more shaping. So I'm going to make that the bottom. Let's shape the bottom a little bit. Get a nice curve on the bottom here. I'm going to try to go for a real gradual curve here, kind of a wide curve, and then it's going to tuck in up here. See if we can. Just trying to clean up and refine this little curve here. I'm thinking about starting to put a tenon on there as well. So, what we might do is we might put a sacrificial piece on there so we don't waste any more material. I have to untuck the shirt a little bit, fill up with chips. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and let's get the glue gun turned on. While waiting for the glue gun to heat up, talk a little bit about this. So, because we don't want to waste any more material than we have to, what I can do is I have these cutoffs from some wheels that I do. It's a demo, but these are just leftovers and they work good for jam chucks. So I could hot melt glue this to the bottom here, and then we can use this to hold on to for hollowing and refining the shape. And then we could just turn this off versus making a tenon on this and losing that much more material. So while we're waiting for the glue gun, we'll go ahead and try to clean up this bottom edge just a little bit, get it flat so we've got a nice glue joint. And we're gonna have this little nipple here, this little spot here where our tailstock is in the wood, and we can't really turn that off, but what we can do is we can put it inside this blank and use the glue around here, and this will give us a good surface, and we don't have to worry about getting that completely flat on the bottom there. Okay, let's see, not quite ready yet. Let's see. Once we get that on there, we can refine this bottom shape a little bit. Where this curve and the flat here meet, we can try to blend them two together, and then we'll start rolling over the top shoulder here and start creating our opening for the holoform to where we can hollow through. So far it's looking pretty good. There's a pretty good crack right here. It's not terrible. I can maybe put some inlay in there. We'll see how it looks after I'm done. We'll see. Maybe we can add some black epoxy and it'll look like a spalt line as well. Maybe we'll try that. We'll see. We still got a long ways before we get there. Still waiting for the glue to dry. Okay, we're just about dry here. Or not dry, warmed up enough where we can get that piece glued on there. So when it's hanging, just trying to keep that lined up. I want this to run true. I'm not worried about this because I can chew this up. I'm talking about the waist block here. We can chew this up. You can see how it's running out. As long as this piece is running fairly true. Let me get the glue gun, move it over here so we can get more glue on the mating surface there. And we'll just fill in this. So give it some more stability, secure it a little bit better. And we'll see how that does. We'll let it dry a little bit, and then we'll chew this up, and we'll shorten this tenon. We'll shorten this block up a little bit, just because this is it's hanging out there quite a bit. So we'll cut it down. Let's see, it's about 2 inches long now, so we'll try to go down to about an inch, maybe about half the length here, and put a tenon on there. Nice short tenon. Tuck everything up so it's real nice and tight. We're not vibrating a lot. That's probably good enough. We can go ahead and just start chewing up this tenon here. I'm going to go for a 2-inch tenon. This is a nice stable, it's a small tenon and it's stable enough for this size of piece. We don't have to worry about it coming loose. Might have to put some more glue here because I want to chew this up. Drop our tool rest. We want a 2-inch tenon, so we need to take a little bit more off. I'm going to stop there. Getting some movement. And it's not in this, it's this tenon here, or the little cutoff there at the tip is coming loose. But I'm going to go ahead and add some more hot melt up here. Let's get another stick. I have to heat up again, I turned it off. We can check and see how it's holding up on there. Oh yeah, I think it's doing pretty good. We probably don't need any more glue, but just for some added protection. I like to be safe. Because this is a glued on piece, we want to make sure that it's going to hold when we're hollowing. And making sure both of them surfaces are flat and clean before you glue will ensure a good bond. I would not use super glue. Super glue can be a bit brittle and it won't absorb any shock like hot melt glue would. So super glue, you get a catch or you knock it a little bit, it could just shear right off. So hot melt glue works better for that. It gives it some give and it can move around. Okay, we're going to finish taking that little tenon off, or this little piece here, a little nub. Let's go ahead and stop it, and I'm just gonna knock it off. So I don't want this piece coming out. I just like that. So we'll go ahead and get rid of our drive center here. It's a little small, so we're gonna have to make that tenon a little bit bigger. Or let's try just holding it there. That'll work. This is the Axminster Chuck SK114, all stainless, so it's a real nice body. It doesn't rust. The jaws are excellent. Good gripping power. I can take it in and out and it runs concentric. It runs true every time. Okay, I'm going to sharpen my bowl gouge real quick. Okay, we got a nice fresh edge there. Okay, we'll go ahead and chew up the outside here and start shaping the top. I want to get rid of this little divot down in here so we can put our tailstock in there. I'm going to use tailstock support as long as I can. until I know that that glue is going to hold. Again, we're just going to true up the outside here. Turn it up. Go ahead and start shaping that top now. It's really nice. This piece is dry, so we can go right to our finished shape, our finished following wall thickness. Don't have to worry about any movement. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, the spalting works really nice with this shape. I really like that. So, and what I'm doing is I'm looking at it from afar on a side, and it try to gives me kind of a vision of what it'll look like. And again, we're taking off this, and this will be rounded over on the bottom. It'll be rounded, and it'll just sit real nice. And then the top will just stand high. I think I like the neck, and we might go a tad smaller. But what I'll go ahead and do now is we're going to get ready for hollowing. Let's move this up a little. Move the cameras. We're going to have to move our headstock up a little bit. So I like to be standing at the end of the tailstock, or at the end of the bed here, and I can hollow comfortably. I'm not reaching over the bed. At this stage, you could use a Forstner bit or a drill bit. Let's see what we have over here. We've got some bits up here. Usually I like to just do it by hand, but I know a lot of people use Forstner bits or drill bits, and I've seen a lot of them get stuck in there, and they smoke and get hot. So I'm going to go ahead and try it and show you guys. Okay, we got to take our live center out. Okay, we can use the tape that's on here, and we'll use that to give us the depth that we want. Well, it's not coming off very easy. We want to leave enough on the bottom to we're not going through, about 1/4 inch or 3/8. And it looks like the tape's just about right there. So if we go ahead, because we moved my tailstock, or headstock, we're going to have to move this now. There we go. So, well, Let me move the headstock back and I'll show you guys. Because we moved it, my camera's stationary. Okay, what we're looking at is the tape there. We don't want to go too deep. So I'm going to go to the tape and I can do the rest, hollow it out with the hollowing tool. I usually do these by hand. I usually don't use a Forstner bit. But we have them on show the proper way. What we need to do is we need to slow it down. Right now it's at 700 RPM. That's too fast. So I'm going to go 400 RPM. Let's try. There's 350. Okay. And we'll just start real slow. And we're getting some chips coming out. We're getting some nice ribbons. And that's what we want. We want them nice ribbons. Oh, let's go to that cam. There we go. So this is what you want coming out of there. And it's not burning. It's just coming out with like nice ribbons. That's what we want. And you can back it out. Make sure nothing's getting clogged up. But if you're going slow enough and you're feeding it slow enough, this spiral is designed to evacuate them chips. So if you give it enough time to evacuate, you shouldn't have to back it in and out. You can see it's coming out. You may think, oh, the faster I go, the quicker I can go. Not necessarily. So just take your time, because it'd take longer to trying to get that bit out if it gets stuck in there versus just taking your time. And I'm not backing it out right now. We're still doing good. I'm getting a lot of chips coming out. We're almost to the tape. I'm looking from the side here. I can see. I'm going to call that good right there. Again, low speed on your spindle and just a kind of medium to, heavy feed. You can feel it. You'll feel it starting to cut, and just let it cut itself, and just keep feeding it nice and, keep pressure on it. You don't want to just rub it. So there we go. And it didn't come out. Okay, for hollowing, we're going to use the Trent Bosch hollowing tool. This is a 5/8 shaft with the purple handle. I use this almost every day. I do my wheel demos for hollowing. It's a fantastic tool. It's my go-to for hollowing. So let's go ahead and spin it up a little bit. I'm going to go about 700 RPM now, just to test that glue joint and see where we're at. See how stable it is. Seems to hold it up pretty good. Taking some pretty good cuts here. And I'm starting on the rim section here. And I'm just opening it up slightly. Again, I said I'm going to take that rim down a little bit more just to refine it a little bit. So let's speed it up a little bit. I'm just working my way down the center here where that Forstner bit went through. I'm just opening it up and stepping it all the way down. Once we get all the way down, we'll eventually start working on the shoulder, but we're going to take out as much as we can with this tool. Okay, we're at the bottom. Let's go across the bottom a little bit, clean it up. I'm going to start opening up this shoulder a little bit. I don't know if it's going to show it. Let's see if it'll show it. Yeah, okay. Maybe a little bit. I've got it tucked up under my shoulder, and I can support the handle, and I could just rock my body back and forth, and I'm letting my body take all the grunt versus doing it like this. You're going to wear yourself out. It's going to wear your arm out. So I tuck it up underneath there. You kind of see it. My camera's set up at a weird angle. Being mindful of how deep we got to go too. So we're still working on this shoulder, and I know we've got quite a bit to take out of there. So I'm not too concerned about popping out the side yet. We still got a long ways to go, and we're just working on this bottom section down here because that's what our straight tool can access, and then we'll use a bent tool to get the top shoulder. I may have to switch to a smaller hollowing tool just because this one's a little bit big for this small holoform. So we'll do what we can with it for now. Let's get our bent hollowing tool. We'll see. Again, these bent tools are not to be used like this. You want your tool rest behind the bend. So that's a little bit close right there. I want it further back because this is where you pivot. It'll pivot right there. Every time you try to touch the wood, it's going to drop it down and it's going to cause a catch. We'll go a little bit more. That looks good right there. See, now it's not gonna roll over. Okay. Just start taking little cuts, getting inside there. And of course, the deeper you go, the closer you can move your tool rest, because you don't want to extend too far past, you get too much vibration. Right? You want as much stability as you can, as close as you can to that curve, so it doesn't roll on you. Taking little cuts. What I'm working on now, I try to get as much out of this shoulder as I could. Back here, we've got some, where this shoulder, where I hollowed out here and where I hollowed out there, where it meets, there's a bit of a ridge there. So I'm working on that ridge right now. It's right about here. I'm going to stop it, see if we can get some chips out of there. And you can see we're running true still. That glue's holding up really nice. Okay. I'm not really concerned about air right now. It's not a big deal. It's coming out easy enough. I'm just opening up this hole a little bit more. I'm getting the curve down in there more defined so it kind of matches this contour so I can get closer to this edge here. And I want to try to get my final thickness. I want to try to work my way down from here all the way. You know, I'm hollowing out as much material in here as I can, but when I get to where I want to start getting that finished wall thickness, I want to start from the top and work my way down. You don't want to get it to 1/8 inch down here and then try to work your way up. It's just not going to work. There's no stability behind the piece to hold it, and it's just going to end up breaking on you. Again, this is a pretty tight curve for this tool. So I might have to switch. I've got some homemade hollowing tools that'll work real nice. Okay, we've got an extreme bend here. This is kind of the Ellsworth style. And then we've got just a crooked nose, I guess you would call it. So this will allow me to get right up underneath that shoulder, right real close. And these we can move closer. And this I'll show you a little bit on this one a little bit later. It's a bit tricky. So we'll go ahead and use this one and get as much out as we can. Now you're going to have a lot more torque on these because it's going to want to push down on that. These are totally different than the Trent tools, so it's a different approach. So you have to just be mindful. They are very more aggressive. So you just want to take light cuts. I like to concentrate when I'm hollowing, especially with these tools. They take some concentration. They can get away from you very quickly. And again, that's these homemade ones. They're kind of Ellsworth style. You can find them online. Just don't make them too long because you just won't be able to control them. Well, this has some very beautiful spalting and some curl in it. That ought to be pretty once it's finished. I'm going to switch over to this other one. Now this one I do want the bend over the tool rest, but I want it as close as I can, and I'm going to take little cuts with this one because this one can be very aggressive and it can roll on you and get caught in there and just continue rolling and just break the piece. So you got to be very careful with this one. I'm going to slow it down a little bit, and I'm going to tuck it up underneath my shoulder. I'm going to move it a little bit closer. And I'm just taking little cuts. We don't want to take real big cuts with this one because it's taking a lot for me to hold it so it doesn't roll over. We're not in a race. And I'll probably use these tools just to get the shoulder where I want it. And then I can switch back to my Trent tools. My Trent tools are just too big to get around this curve here, to get into that shoulder. I'm going to go ahead and remove some more material down in there with the Trent hollowing tool. Switch to our straight one. I'm going to get there. Okay, I'm going to take some more off on that shoulder, up on the thickest, the widest part. So I'm going to use my Trent tool, go back and forth. It's feeling good there. We'll take a little bit more. Definitely use calipers for this stage. We might pull some out here in a little bit just to check it. Okay, I'm liking the way that's filling right in here. We'll go ahead and get our calipers and just check it. Show you kind of what we're looking for. Finding a caliper that fits in there is always tricky too. So I have this guy. I can use it this way, and I could check down in here. And let's get rid of the overview. So right in here, where this brass meets here, that'll tell you how thick it is depending on where these are on inside the piece. So we put it in there and we touch down in there. We can see we still got probably about a ½ inch or so, about 3/4 of an inch down in this section. which is okay. Right in here, we probably got about ½ inch right in here. Let's check up here. Right there, we've got, looks about 3/8. Yeah, about 3/8. So we're doing good. We'll still do some more hollowing. I'm going to go ahead and take some more off the top here. Okay, this is, let me get the bent tool. So this is his scraper for the hollowing system. Has a flat on there, you can put a scraper. And we'll use this to clean up any of them tool marks on the inside. It's fairly clean now, but I just want to smooth it up a little bit more. Actually, before we clean that up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in some of them cracks. We could probably take it out of the chuck so it's easier to work with. And we'll use the tailstock to line everything back up. It's filling very nice. Let's see if we can get a shot here. So there's kind of the profile. Looks good. We're hollow in there. It sounds a bit thicker here because we got this sacrificial piece on there. But yeah, looking good. Okay, let's fill them cracks, and I'll show you what I'm going to use. Don't mind the desk. That's all the demo stuff that I've got going on. Let's move a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. There's a piece that I'm working on. Some wheels. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use some Starbond, the black CA. I think it'll add nice. It'll go real nicely with this spalting on there. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get a smaller tip for this. Again, these are from Starbond. They send you quite a bit of them when you buy some of the glue, and they're real small tips. Allows me to get in some real small places, like we're trying to do here. Let's get some extra light here. Okay, now that we're back, we've got the cracks filled, and I've got it back on the chuck. I used the tailstock to get it all lined up and centered again. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of take some light cuts on the outside just to knock down some of them high spots of the glue, and start using a scraper to clean it up. Turn the music down. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna go through the final stage of this 120, I think. It's looking pretty good. Them lines are looking fairly clean. There's a bit of bleed over, but once we oil this, I think it'll blend nicely. We're gonna take one more pass with 120, and then we'll work through the grits, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so now that we've got the outside done, there's still some finishing touches that need to be done, like the bottom, and then I'm going to put a super glue finish on it so it shines up real nice. But I'm going to go ahead and scrape out the inside, get that nice and smooth. Let's get our scraper. Using the Trent hollowing tool again, and it's got the scraper on it. Again, you want the angle behind the tool rest. I'm just going to clean up some of them marks in there. Let's turn it up a little bit more. Light touch with this. You're not trying to remove a lot of material, you're just trying to clean up some of them scrape marks. I'm going to go ahead and ease out. I'm going to move it up a little bit more because we're working down that shoulder now. And we're going to work down towards the bottom. Easy does it. Let's move the camera a little bit so I can get more on that side. Let's move a little closer. Okay, let's see what that looks like, or feels like. Oh, it feels nice. Okay, nice and smooth in there. Now what we need to do is I'm going to put a little bit of, I'm going to start the CA finish, but before we do that, I want to put some CA around the rim here because we're going to reverse it on a cone so that way we can remove the tenon, sand, and CA finish the whole piece at once instead of stages. So we'll use some thin and accelerator, and the thin we'll use to set, and then we'll build up a coat and sand it and polish it. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it around now, and we'll jam check it and get rid of the tenon on the bottom. Okay, we've got this block of wood here. We're going to have to shape the tip so we can reverse mount this. And it'll allow us to still get down in on this shoulder behind the chuck in the piece, and then this side as well. Oh, that one was dull from the inlay, so we may have to sharpen another one real quick. Let's see. Yeah, let me sharpen it real quick. See if the piece will fit in there. Make a smaller cone on the front there. There we go. Okay, now let's get our tailstock. Took the scrap block off, and we can just use that. There we go. Nice. Okay, so now we can use this, and it's running true. There we go. I don't have to screw with that block anymore. I was thinking the block was on there pretty good, but it wasn't. Twisted right off because I had turned most of it away, so Okay, let's continue with some more thin, and then we can work on medium. Okay, getting a nice gloss of that. See that? Looking good. So after we get multiple coats of the medium, we can sand through 320, 400, 600,000, and when we go to buff it, it'll just be even shinier than this. So put a couple more coats of thin on there. Thinking the top needs a little more. And we're not going to worry about the very bottom yet, the foot of it, because we still need to turn off that little tailstock point and then sand it, and then we'll have a place to sign, and then we could put some glue on the bottom. Okay, now we're doing the medium. We're not going to spray this one. We're just going to let it set by itself and try to level out, fill in any of them smaller ripples. That's looking pretty nice. Okay, it's dry. It doesn't take long, so we'll put some more on there. Again, I'm not going to spray this one either. Still tacky. Got a bit of a void on that crack there. I'm going to go ahead and spray this one just because I put that extra glob on there. About out of accelerator. Let that dry for a bit. Gotta check something, but it's still a little too. No, we can check it. Okay, I'm gonna take it off. Just want to check the top. There's some discoloration from this to there. Very slight. And I'm not sure if that's a wood or if it's the amount of CA that penetrated on the first round with the thin. But I think it looks okay. Yeah, it might be the wood. There's some difference in this as well. Okay. Actually, let's go ahead and sand this one. Okay, you can see there's some shiny spots and some dull spots. So we need to sand it down to all the shiny spots are gone. I need to get more sandpaper. Let's try to take them out with some 240. Talking about the ripples there. There's still a few more right there. There's some more down here. I'm gonna get a tip for this because there's a few spots that we need to fill in. There's a tip there. These are some of the voids that we filled in earlier. There were some chip outs from turning, so we have to fill them in. Okay. see what that looks like. That might get rid of that. Let's go a little more. Let's use our 320. Sand the bottom. 320. Let's go to 400. Okay. It's not bad looking. Now we can buff it, but before we do that, we gotta get this little guy off. There's two that we can use. We could use a square chisel to get it off. Problem with square chisel is because this is concave, the sides will dig in. So I'm going to use a radiused one. This is the Swiss 3/16. I don't know. That little dimple there, and get our 320 grit. And I'm going to take a little bit more. Okay, we'll start with the triple E wheel, and we'll just buff out the dull finish. We'll cut it back a little bit, and then we can buff with white diamond. So we'll go ahead and load up the wheel with some triple E. There we are. Alright, so now all you got to do is sign the bottom, and you're finished. And I'll post some pictures of it, some professional pictures. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys.